We would like to start our next session regarding India opportunity and investment, continuing with our inaugural session on a video game industry. May I have Ms. Neha, who is partner with Deloitte India, to come and moderate the session and also introduce all the other panelists on the session. May I have Ms. Neha Aggarwal?
So hi, a warm welcome to everybody. And, hearing Mr. Vikram Sahai, Sohn, and, everybody on the dais, it was really a very interesting conversation. And I think one of the topic that, it's coming up now is investment opportunity because, if the market size is so big, I think there is a huge potential for the investments in this sector per se. And when, there is so much of revenue, there is so much of market cap, which we are seeing in this sector, there is an equal opportunity for the kind of innovation, the kind of collaboration that we see in terms of cross-border collaboration, in terms of partnerships, or in terms of the research, development, incubation of new programs and intellectual properties. I think this is very exciting times, and I think we did see that yesterday there was Chandrayaan-3, which was a big achievement from an India perspective. G20 again is coming up, so I think India is at the right cusp of enabling this sector also in terms of making sure that we are able to utilize it both from the perspective of the right market, the right ecosystem of skilling, and also in terms of the utilization with respect to these applied games. I think that Mr. Sahai did talk about education sector, but again, it goes really beyond. I mean, whether we look at logistics, aviation simulators, we have looked at transportation simulators, health, again, we have seen that there is so much of traction which is there in this sector, whether it is, for the inpatient treatments and even post-surgery treatments as well. So I think, this sector is something where we see that, beyond skill development, there is a use case also which is very relevant for this sector per se. So I think with this, I would like to, invite all my co-panelists here. So we have Ms. Chitra Jain. She's a senior investment specialist from Invest India. And I would request her to give an overview of, what investment opportunity she sees from an India standpoint. And yeah, over to you, Chitra. Come.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, IDGS and CII, for inviting me today to share some insights on a sunrise sector as gaming. So if I can have the presentation on screen, please. Thank you. Can we move to the next slide? So, next slide, please. Yes, thank you. So we'll begin with a look at some of the global rankings to get an idea of how India is currently doing in the global gaming industry. Thank you. So let's look at some of the numbers which tell us about the global rankings, where India stands currently in terms of the global gaming industry. So as you can see on screen, India is currently the largest market by the number of mobile game downloads that are done in India. And we are ahead of China and United States. In fiscal year 2022, we downloaded around 15 billion mobile games in India. And we are also the fastest growing market by revenue in the Asia 10 region, which is a classification which includes Southeast Asian economies and also some of the major East Asian countries, excluding China. When it comes to the gamer base, India is ahead of China with 400 million plus gamers in the country. And also in the esports segment, India is being touted as the second largest paid competitive gaming market. In fact, India is also the fastest PCG market in the world, ahead of Mexico, UK, and Germany at the moment, growing at the CAGR of 33.6%. When we look at the overall market size, India stood at 1.6 billion in the year 2022 and is expected to grow at the CAGR of 20% and reaching $2.8 billion US in 2025. According to some industry estimates, India's contribution to the global gaming revenue stood at 1.5% in the year 2020 and is expected to reach 5% by the year 2030. Now, looking at the investment activity in the country with respect to gaming, we saw that in year 2022, over 16 deals took place in the gaming sector worth 335 million US dollars. And even in the first half of calendar year 2023, we have managed to secure 60 million US dollars in over 13 deals. The slide also gives you an overview of the current global and domestic funds which are actively investing in the gaming space, and also some of the major deals that have been executed in the first half of the year. Moving on to the next slide. This slide gives us an idea of the major trends of the market, basically highlighting three key trends. First of all, of course, that India is predominantly a mobile-driven market. As I already mentioned, in the fiscal year 2022, we downloaded around 15 billion downloads, game downloads. And if you see at the statistics, this is way ahead of what was happening in China and the US. 1 in every 5 game that is downloaded in the world is downloaded in India. The second key trend is that over 90% of the gamers in the country are available on the mobile platform, or in other words, access games through mobiles. And the third key trend here is, of course, that the next set of new gamers in India will come from regions beyond the metropolitan cities of Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Bengaluru. And in fact, a recent study put Uttar Pradesh as the top gaming state in the country. India is also, in terms of consumption pattern and monetization trend, India also presents an encouraging picture. For example, right now, on an average, each gamer in India is spending over 8 hours per week on games. And mid-core games especially are growing in popularity. If you in fact look at the user preference, in fact the majority of the gamer base is attracted towards the non-RMG sector. The monetization trends tell us that around 1/4 of the Indian gamers are now paying users, and in fact, in the fiscal year 2022, around 2 million new paying users were being added every month to the market. This accounted for 67% of year-on-year growth in first-time paying users. If you look at the ARPU, although lower in global comparison, but in the Asia 10 region, India is the fastest growing market in terms of revenue, ahead of Indonesia and Thailand, growing at 31.9%. This slide tells us about the current ecosystem related to gaming. So right now we have a very vibrant ecosystem comprised of startups and game development studios, esports streaming platforms and publishers in India. In fact, I would like to take the opportunity here to focus especially on the game development studios, which are making their own small steps in developing and establishing the country as one of the preferred destination for global game development. In fact, we have foreign game development companies like Ubisoft, Electronic Arts, and Zynga, which have been leveraging this talent pool for a very long time now. Moving on to the next slide, this is a collation of some of the projects that have come out from India, which have done really well internationally as well. So on the left, you'll see a list of games that have been completely developed in the country and have been won games and have been received really well, and won games in the international gaming events. On the right, you'll see a couple of international projects, including AAA projects like Call of Duty and Elden Ring, where Indian game studios have contributed and undertook specialized game processes. one of the key trend that is hidden in the slide is and it's also been raised earlier, is the growing popularity of Indian themes and Indian characters and Indian storylines in games developed not just by the Indian studios, but also by international studios. And I think this is also one of the key trends that will decide how well a gaming company will do in India, because as already mentioned, the new set of gamers will come out from the tier 2, tier 3 cities. So it is imperative for companies to come up with games that are culturally familiar and the games should resonate culturally with the users, and that will also encourage acceptance on the audience's behalf and players' behalf, and also lead to in-game purchases. With respect to regulatory and policy landscape, so having realized the potential of the sector, last year the government of India made a couple of important announcements aimed at streamlining the regulatory landscape in the country with respect to gaming. So following the budget announcement in 2022, in April 2022, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting constituted an interministerial task force for promoting the AVGC sector, which was devoted to the development of the animation, visual effects, gaming and comics space in India. Within the same year, in around December, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology was made the nodal ministry for online gaming. And this year, the ministry also amended the IT rules 2021 to add online gaming provisions. The same month, Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports was given the charge of esports, recognizing the game as part of the multi-sports event. Along with these regulatory decisions, another important thing that the government is involved in currently addressing is the talent and skilling gap in the gaming sector. So this is a heat map of India which shows the current ongoing gaming related initiatives and gaming related policies in the country. So the STPI, or the Software Technology Parks, which is a science and technology organization of the Ministry of Electronics and Information and Technology, is constructing a lot of centers of excellence and centers of entrepreneurship devoted to developing the emerging technologies ecosystem in the country. Under these, the startups are provided with a varied range of support services, including plug-and-play space, lab support, funding, mentoring, industry, and customer connect. So, and these COEs are further being supported by individual local government policies devoted to the development of the entire AVGC space. Currently, we have dedicated AVGC policies by the state of Telangana and the state of Karnataka, and AVGC policies are also under consideration from the state of Uttar Pradesh and Sikkim. These AVGC policies provide a range of fiscal and non-fiscal benefits to companies which are registered in the state, including production incentives and grants for producing animation content and game art development, and a range of other services such as patent registration, power tariff, office lease rentals, recruitment, entertainment tax, etc. So this is an overall view of how the ecosystem is developing in India with respect to gaming. As Invest India, I think we exist at the intersection of the government and the industry, and we have a beautiful opportunity to get to listen to both the government and the companies. So please feel free to reach out to us in case you have any suggestions for us. We would be most happy to take it forward and discuss with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chitra. And, it really looks encouraging. And I did pen down some of the notes that's important for us in terms of, the opportunity that this sector has and the kind of, examples that have been set in the last couple of years with so much of an investment of $280 billion in last 5 years. So effectively, I mean, this is encouraging for all the startups and entrepreneurs who are sitting here that, how this sector is becoming an investment opportunity and a talent hub for the world. With this, I would like to invite all my panelists, and I'll give an introduction to them. I would like to invite Mr. Charlie Idiculla. He represents the Dubai Multi-Commodities Center Office, UAE. Welcome, Charlie. I would also like to invite Mr. Vidyanand Sagaram. He's a director, Victoria Government, Australia. Welcome, Vidyanand. I would also like to invite Sohn again. He is a CEO from KRAFTON, India. Welcome, Sohn. I would also like to invite Mr. Takashi SUZUKI. He is a Chief Director General, JETRO, India. I would again like to invite Chitra from Invest India. And I would like to invite Rajan Navani, President IDGS, and he also is a CEO of JetSynthesys, to be on the dais. Okay, so he is joining in a while. Yeah, sure. So thank you so much, for spending time and, taking out time here to discuss on this important, area wherein all of us are really excited about. I have one question that, I would like to ask Sohn. Could you elaborate on your long-term vision for KRAFTON in Indian gaming ecosystem? And how do you plan to align your investments with industry's expected growth in next few years?
Thank you for the question. I have to say that our investment strategy in India is definitely focused on gaming, but also it goes beyond gaming because we believe that game development doesn't stand as a standalone. I mean, it doesn't stand alone. It's a sort of a connected digital entertainment on the basis of like engineering, art, and also cultural like heritage of the country or the market. So if you look at our portfolio in India, we invest in 2 game development companies and 1 esports companies and 1 live streaming companies. But we also all of them are like gaming or gaming related companies. But we also invest in a company like online literature, audio story, which has a kind of, we can say that it can be as IP source for gaming and also other entertainment. So we believe that India, given the fast pace of economic growth and growing demands for content and digital entertainment, we expect there are larger business opportunities in gaming, but also in digital entertainment as a whole. So that's how we come up with this kind of investment thesis. We believe we have sort of witnessed like a big growth in those companies and industries. We maintain this sort of investment thesis, but we also want to have like another additional focus on AI and deep tech, which can complement the production or creation of those digital entertainment contents like through the technology. So that's pretty much the answer that I can give to you.
No, I think this is really encouraging that, with the newer technologies being abided and completely aligned with the comprehensive thought of, bringing in the global perspective and also Indianizing and, cross-pollination of the cultures will be extremely, extremely helpful. My question to Rajan, the video gaming sector in India is very dynamic and rapidly progressing. So how, as JSynthesys, you're viewing this sector as an opportunity for growth in India? And, a related question, that what are the key elements in this ecosystem that you believe that are required to, insulate it further?
Thank you, Neha. And firstly, sorry I was, spending a little time with the secretary who was here, who has gone back super excited, I must say. And I think, because I think this kind of interaction about understanding together, has tremendous value. So just wanted to apologize for joining a little late. But, what you use the word ecosystem, I think that is, exactly the way we at JetSynthesys, thought about gaming nearly a decade ago. Because, if you really want to create any new industry sector, I mean, and why I say new, because for India, the video gaming industry never existed. I mean, if you looked at, the console, right, you needed investment to buy it. When the PC gaming, revolution happened, you needed high band internet and all of that, where, countries like Korea and others benefited. India's takeoff in gaming has really come once the mobile penetration happened. And we're talking about nearly a decade ago. So I think when we looked at gaming as a nascent industry, we said one thing very clearly: this needs an ecosystem approach. And ecosystem means that while you will see a lot of traction in some aspects of gaming, there are many other potholes that you need to fill so that you can have a quick ride, right? You can't wait for somebody else to come and fill that pothole, because it is going to affect your business. So as JetSynthesys, we took a very, very clear approach that we will invest across the ecosystem. We will shape and build that ecosystem for India, and then use that, because India's strength is, our frugality, our ability to get large consumers at, very low pricing relatively, our talent pool, because as you build an ecosystem, you also invest in talent, and all of that will unlock value for us as we go global. So I think the JetSynthesys journey has been one where we invested to build domestic, and now have, built global teams around the world in several countries, including Japan, US, Israel, many other countries. And our approach also within that ecosystem was always to look at the gaming journey of a person. You will always find at the top of the funnel a large number of casual gamers. But, as you get more people involved in gaming, the idea was also to think that, why are you gaming? You're gaming for entertainment, but is there something more? And we spotted esports very early. And we knew that, I was in Poland once and sitting into a stadium, and there were like 15,000 people cheering with the same oohs and ahs that we have when we are watching a cricket match. And we said, this can come to India. And that's when, we kickstarted esports through Nodwin Gaming, which, Sohn mentioned, and built that from scratch along with, Akshat Rathi and Gautam Virk. And as JetSynthesys, we own 50% of the company. We built it. We got in partners, Nazara, KRAFTON, now Sony. So, large number of companies have now looked at that opportunity, around where a professionalization of esports will end. Of course, we also have grassroots esports play. And then I think our biggest ambition from India was, how do we create an IP or a game from India that the world will compete on? And, we found that in cricket. So with Sachin Tendulkar, we invested 3 years, built a world-class cricket game where it was more batting, more about that, and then acquired Real Cricket. And now between these two titles, we have a 65% global market share around simulated cricket, and hoping to grow and scale that. So, the platform or the mid-core game that the world will compete on, and we've just announced a pretty large league around that. And at the top of the funnel, again, as you look at many, many aspects of gaming, it is a very creative industry. It requires small teams, it requires multiple iterations. I mean, it requires sometimes multiple games for a studio to produce a hit. And the Rovio example of Angry Birds being his 52nd game is a great way to describe that. So the unpredictability of that can be hedged by, investing and building many creative teams, but again, having them to work together. So our model of Jetapult is really about that, right? It's about empowering the creative teams, making them part of a larger JetSynthesys ecosystem, strengthening them with technology, and seeing how, you can build many, many opportunities to go to build successful games. So I think along with that, we also power the Steam platform, and the last mile payment connectivity for PC. So that has been the JetSynthesys, gaming ecosystem. And as I mentioned earlier, we use that to build many other aspects. So that's really just to give you a quick summary of how our view is. And now with this, as we go global, we are pretty excited about the opportunity.
No, I think this is very encouraging, especially for audiences, who aspire to become and go beyond JetSynthesys as well. And, your story of going global will be definitely very, very encouraging. And with this, actually, I would like to, place a question to Takashi-san from JETRO, that, how the video gaming sector evolved in Japan. We've seen the India story, but again, we are equally excited of, how we are seeing Japan, how it evolved and what are the best practices that worked well for this sector, and, what India could inspire from it.
Yeah, thank you very much. And just a quick introduction about myself. My name is Takashi Suzuki. I'm from JETRO, New Delhi office. JETRO is Japan External Trade Organization, which is a kind of a Japanese government organization promoting any business between two countries. And one of the main duty of us is to promote more globalization of Japanese business and industry, and content sector is one of the main industry which we are supporting. That's why it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. And it's about the Japanese the game industry. It's really good to see how this Japanese gaming industry has grown and adapted to the changing times from the early days of arcade games and classic console like Nintendo's family computer to the rise of handheld gaming devices like the Game Boy, and now the dominance of powerful gaming consoles like PlayStation and Switch. Japan has always been at the forefront of innovation in gaming. And I was born in 1970, so I'm an old school guy. And when I was the teenagers, I really enjoyed the very first handy game made by Nintendo, which is Watch and Game. I think nobody knows it. And in the beginning of the arcade game, I enjoyed the game called the Space Invader. So I know the history of the industry anyway, and it's somehow impressive. Such kind of Japanese gaming are now globalizing, and now they are keen to the market like India. And among these the successful practices of the Japanese gaming industry, one of the characteristic feature would be its emphasis on the unique storytelling and detailing. And Japanese content like animes is known for its detailing, and from the elaborate costumes and accessories to unique hairstyle or facial expression to their large expressive eyes, you may know, and even detailed backgrounds and landscapes, and from bustling cities to nature scenes. The intricate detailing brings the environment to life. And such unique characteristic can be seen in some of the characters as well. And for example, I brought one example like this. Maybe cameraman zoom up for this. This is somebody called Kitty-chan, And here are some key aspects. Hello Kitty. Truly special with her round face, button nose, and absence of a mouth. She doesn't have mouth. And but this is a very important point. She allows us, the Japanese people, to project our own emotions and expressions onto her. This is our way of thinking to this kind of character portfolio. So this is one of the bigger features of Japanese culture. And another practice is fusion of gaming with other forms of entertainment, such as anime and manga. I think some of you are a big fan of this. This synergy has given rise to dynamic collaborations, allowing famous characters and stories to be brought to life in video games, and fostering a strong sense of community has been crucial also for the success of Japanese gaming industry. They understand the importance of establishing deep connection with their player base through engaging online platform, fan events, and even merchandise. This not only enhances the overall gaming experience, but also creates a loyal and dedicated fan following. And by the way, we call them otaku. And yeah, otaku is a kind of the mania, the game mania. And they are created in Japan. And I believe all these aspects can be applied to Indian market somehow. And this is the future of Japanese gaming industry. Thank you.
No, thank you so much, Takashi-san. And, I could completely correlate to, the Hello Kitty, logo that you just showed, because I think at least girls can correlate here. We were brought up with that Hello Kitty, and we used to have that with all our accessories when we were growing up. So thank you so much. With this, I would like to, take a question to Charlie. He represents the UAE, DMCC. And UAE, as we know, is the fastest emerging sought-after destination for the gaming industry. So, Charlie, what's your context on that? How video gaming sector is evolving in UAE, and how is it becoming a major global hub? So, what are your takes, and what India can take from it?
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the question. Firstly, I would like to thank CII Invest India for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this panel discussion. So with regards to your question, of course, there is a fast reaching, there is a overall ecosystem, gaming ecosystem in UAE at this point of time, especially in the last 5 years. This has actually, there are various benefits in terms of starting a gaming company in UAE. One of the reason is the state of infrastructure in UAE. There is accessibility to high-speed internet, 5G network enablers. These are very essential for a gaming company, for example, online gaming company, multiplayer gaming company. For these companies, it is very essential to have high-speed internet connectivity. Secondly, there is also easy accessibility to manpower or gaming professionals. A lot of gaming professionals in the pandemic and during the Ukraine-Russia war, they have actually migrated to UAE, and they're doing quite well there. And so there is easy accessibility to gaming professionals. Moreover, it will also provide opportunities to Indian gaming talent who are looking to migrate to UAE. They can live and work there. They can start their own company there. And they can also introduce new and innovative games in UAE. In terms of the ecosystem, there is also, in terms of, so I represent the DMCC free zone, and we have various privileges for gaming startups in terms of funding with VCs, investors, accelerators. So we have a specific accelerator program that we have collaborated with Brink, VC firm Brink, wherein we have invested around 150 million in the last 2 years. And we would encourage more companies, Indian companies who are interested in UAE to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to assist them.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Charlie. With this, I move to Vidyanand, who represents the Victorian government, Australia. Again, we've seen that, Australia has also been very active in this space. And specifically, there have been a lot of initiatives that Australian government has taken to promote foreign partnerships, collaborations, co-productions in this video gaming sector. What is your take in terms of, this kind of an association or a foreign partnerships that the government is taking, and, how has been your experience from an India standpoint?
Thanks, Neha. Sorry about my voice. So let me first start off by telling why Australia and our relationship with India. So for any country as a government entity, for us to work with any country, we need a roadmap. I think what we did as a state government, as well as the federal government or the central government has also done the similar thing, is to put this a part of the strategy. So we were much ahead for many other states or other countries to put creative industries and focus on digital gaming as a part of the India strategy. So we have a Victoria India strategy, which was developed about 6 years ago, and digital gaming was a part of the strategy. So once you have a strategy, then automatically I think it gives you a skeletal structure to what you want in terms of funding, in terms of initiatives. It's like a ripple effect that comes from it. So we commissioned the Australia India Institute, which is a think tank, to develop a short paper on opportunities for Victorian companies and Indian companies to collaborate and partner. And the low-hanging one for us was education, because Australia is a leader in that, and quite a few universities, because we have one of the robust curriculum and structure, because again, digital gaming might be just a decade old or probably a bit more for India, but for Australia, it's been there for more than almost 2 decades now. We have certificate programs, master's programs, you can go up to PhD programs. So we identified those kind of opportunities. And the next thing was, I think this was the Joint Secretary mentioned this morning, as to what's the government's role, in terms of facilitating all of this. I think we spoke about this, Neha, this morning as well. I think in India, it's a bit more fragmented, but for Australia, we have just one nodal agency called Interactive Games and Entertainment Association. So this one single body is, of course, it's based in Sydney, but it's got offices across all the other states, is able to be the voice of the industry. At the same time, it's easy to actually work with the government. So this is the agency that we commissioned, or we provided a mandate for them to support. And I think he mentioned about taking it to international delegations and stuff. And we've been doing this for a decade now. As we speak, I think recently we've just sent about 26 studios and production houses to the Gamescom in Germany, and in November, the Victorian government is supporting 5 of the mid-tier companies to go for the G-Star to Korea. And hopefully, India will be there in the next year. So this is something that is organically being done in the last 5 to 6 years now. The last one is the support. So once we have given the things to provide IGEA, we've got the skeletal structure, we've got the draft, the last one is a grants program. So we have to encourage companies, at least initially with the seed funding, to handhold them and stuff like that. So various programs, very specific for India, for the creative industries, we've got, thanks to the federal government, we've got the Unnati grant, the My3 grant. Victorian government has got its own international grants. So there are enough and more pockets that they can actually dip into to support the collaboration. And that's why I think we are in the pathway of developing the Victoria India Digital Gaming Corridor.
This is definitely encouraging, and we really look forward for that, how Australian government will be able to collaborate more with, Indian incubators and startups in developing the research and development and, intellectual properties being, facilitated. So, taking forward this collaboration opportunity, my question to Chitra is that, you're also witnessing, the kind of investments that are happening in this sector. What has been your experience in terms of, the investors or the businesses asked who are looking at India as an opportunity? And, how do you see the sector growing? I mean, you did speak about, some of the beautiful and encouraging numbers, but from an expectation perspective, is there any kind of an experience that you would like to share with us?
So I think from the investments perspective, we see a little bit of diversification from the investors. And so a lot of investment was being done in the RMG space initially, but now we see that money also moving into the non-RMG space, and especially in the game development space as well. And I think mid-core games are increasing in popularity. That is also connected with a lot of esports tournaments picking up these games. So that is one, in fact, segment that is being highlighted as something that will take up in the future. So around, I think, more than 500 million US dollars were invested last year in the mid-core games themselves. So that is one kind of trend that is coming up at the moment. In terms of expectations from the investors, I will focus more on the video game side. So, of course, there is an expectation that from the policy perspective, there should be a clear bifurcation between the RMG space and the non-RMG space, which is a fair ask because investors often highlight that since it's been clubbed together under the umbrella term of online gaming, that kind of hinders investment potential of the non-RMG space also, which is again driving a lot of in-app purchase, has a lot of revenue generating potential. So that is one of the key expectation that is there from the industries end. Another one I would say that along the same lines is that they are requesting for a separate kind of regulatory mechanism for video game industry, which probably studies the global best practices that exist. For example, especially in cases where we have to deal with issues of game addiction and also rights of minors who are playing on these online platforms. So the suggestion is to look at GDPR laws in Europe and also, what is being done in other countries. So that's I think the major two things that come to my mind.
No, this is I think industry is well adapting to this. So I think all the points are quite valid. I think one with this foreign collaboration and partnerships, I would like to ask one question from Sohn that how do you view the role of foreign strategic partnerships and collaboration accelerating growth in the video gaming market from an opportunity standpoint? So you did mention about your investments that you have done already. So what has been your experience that, how do you see this to be, enabled more, and what opportunities lie ahead? Yeah, so this was more on, how do you view the role of foreign strategic partnerships in accelerating growth? Since, you already have an experience in investing and, becoming the driver for the sector. So sharing your experience on that.
Yeah, it's a very good question, I believe. So if you look at, different markets have different genesis of gaming industry. For example, like US, Japan, at certain degree, they had its own sort of like companies who started that industry like 30, 40 years back. But maybe the newer gaming market like Korea, China, these countries have seen benefits from the interaction or participation by global like players or global investors. It could be like publishing of foreign developed games, or it could be setting up development studio by foreign companies. But I believe that these new gaming markets had all this interaction or collaboration with the foreign players, especially when they were initiating the development of gaming industry. I think in India, we have seen some similar trends, maybe not at the scale as I, as a foreign company, want to see. But we, maybe one of the best example of foreign companies trying to work together with the local game developers and also other adjacent players close to gaming. So because India, to be fully transparent, India in gaming, it's not the leading player yet in the global scale, but it has its own strength, which can be opened up, which can be strengthened up by the collaboration with the foreign players. I think there are definitely something to learn from those foreign either investors or partners. So I think we should, and I hope that we could see more interaction like that. Yeah.
I think wonderful answer. With this, since you mentioned about, there's more of a learning. So again, there is a lot of focus on how do we build up the right skill set and how do we enable that ecosystem of, the enhanced exposure with, a sector becoming more and more evolved with the new technologies, with the new kind of content. My question to Rajan is that, this is a very skill-intensive industry, right? And, whether it is game design, content writing, testing, animation, VFX, analytics to that extent, it has opened a lot of career opportunities for people. And a lot of people like us really see that, we've really missed the bus because we have entered into a different career. But having said that, career opportunities like technical artists, surface artists, technical animators, these are something that we've never heard of, right? And therefore, in terms of the focus of, the career development, talent development, and mentorship programs, how is industry investing in this?
You said, it's always lovely to have a career that's aligned to passion, right? And gaming today is such a passion for everybody who's young and youthful. So the fact that you can make a career in that space is a truly exciting opportunity. One big barrier you cross. But having said that, like you rightly pointed out, the good part is, and even to the earlier discussion around the ecosystem, right? Even the things you mentioned right now from a gaming as an industry are definitely many, many aspects, right? You talked about visualization and all. I would extend it even further, as we see, this combination of, as Chitra was mentioning, of, mid-core and esports, and, how does that work, right? So when you go to esports, really you're talking of commentators, you're talking of casters, you're talking of production facilities, you're talking of, people who are involved in distribution, in so many aspects, right? So pretty much every aspect of the media and entertainment industry gets covered. So I just first wanted to expand really the jobs that gaming as an industry can catalyze or create are way beyond, what we are even seeing today. And I think given that, gaming and virtual worlds and gamification is at the cutting edge of technology that we are talking today, right? Whether it's AR, VR, XR, I think the kind of jobs that will get created, and we always talk of, future jobs and future skill sets that will be required, of course, with AI automation coming, I think it also creates many, many new jobs, right? And as what Vidya was saying, the moment we categorize this as the driver of creative industries, right, which is there, I think gaming can open up many, many jobs. So having said that, I think industry is investing, and I'll tell you how we are doing it, right? We are investing actually globally first to be able to invest to hire global great talent. Let's face it, India is a late catch up to gaming. And if we can create, certain types of games which can create certain types of value or revenues today. And we haven't seen those large, breakout games coming from India. It's just the sheer fact that we are starting much later, right? And the Indian talent pool is going to take time to get there. So the top end talent, whether it's the product and the design, which is the most expensive part of game development, right? So we have actually working with the best in the world in global markets, aligning them to mentor, teams here in India. There's nothing better than having at an excellence level, the best in the world work with those who want to be the best in the world and really make that match. So you take the best of talent, the best of capacity, and make them work together. I think that gives you your best shot. But that's again at the top end of the funnel to be able to do that. At the base, I think there is need for tremendous amount of, nurturing, investment for new graduates who come out. And I think that journey can be shaped very well. And I can tell you there are business models where, because today talent around the world is scarce when it comes to gaming, right? Especially when you have games that have already lived their life and still using some of the best talent of a company, the company is looking at how does, they use that talent to build the next big hit rather than service or support a game that is, probably met its time, right? So I think India's ability to be able to fill that still requires global level talent, but probably easier to get past. And I think that, comes significantly today from in-house training, working with others. So I think the investments today that are going into, training and R&D and things like that within our company is our largest piece. While we have tried and we continue to invest in, things that are outside, to bring academic institutions and others, especially, that will come up. But like in many, highly skilled areas, the amount you have to then invest to get that from level 1 to 10 is pretty much the same, actually more sometimes, than the others. So, but I feel there is an opportunity for many industry players to invest. I think from an education, skill building, talent, capacity building is itself $1 trillion opportunity in India. And given that we have the manpower to be able to do that, I see many opportunities coming. And the government, as even the Joint Secretary mentioned in the morning, this is a very, very big agenda. If you see the whole Skill Development Corporation and others, many of the gaming skill sets are still not included. Animation and create art, etc., which we see are there. But I think we can create a much larger pool, of talent beyond the testing and QA, which we have anyway become pretty recognized for around the world. So I think big opportunity here to create value as well. Thank you.
I think this is definitely a very thought-provoking aspect, because since this is a skill-based industry and you really need to keep on investing in this area to make sure that we have the right skill available so that the business keeps on multiplying and there is more innovation in this. I think in this, Rajan did mention about, there's a lot of areas wherein, the policy interventions would be required, especially on, making sure that there are right institutions available, as well as, the investments in the research and development, areas which become an enabler. And therefore, there is a lot of generation of the local IP being there in India. So my question to Chitra is that, since the investments in research and development is crucial to promote this sector, how are you facilitating the cooperation through a PPP model to attract the industry to establish the R&D base in India from a video gaming perspective?
So there was a slide in my presentation where I spoke about the centers of excellence that are being constituted by the Ministry of Information and Technology. So not exactly a PPP model, but it gives you a beautiful example of how the government is coming along with the industry to develop the entire emerging technologies ecosystem and technologies which have use cases in all sectors, including gaming. So I'll give you one example. So I was talking about this earlier as well. So currently METI's STPI, which is a science and technology organization, which drives and implements COEs across India, is running two collaborations with Meta and Google. So I'll tell you about the XR startup program. So under this program, there is an accelerator and also a grand challenge involved. And the kind of model that has been created is that the government brings onto the table the government-backed institutions, technology institutions. So they have chosen around 4 implementing partners for this particular program. One is your IIT Delhi, one is Gujarat, and then the other being institutes in Sikkim and also IIIT Hyderabad. Now, the IIIT Hyderabad is actually focusing on use cases of XR technologies within the gaming and entertainment space. So the government is bringing on to the table these IT institutes, and what Meta is doing is it is infusing funds to help these startups to scale up, innovate with technologies, and also to upscale them from the R&D level to creating a minimum viable product that can be taken to the market. So this is one example how such collaborations can actually help in pushing the ecosystem and developing the ecosystem further. That can actually go a long way to develop the video game ecosystem in the country.
No, I think this definitely will be, more collaborations, because at the end of the day, the government also looks at the new business models which are evolving, and how industry, what's really a demand, and how we built up that entire force to make sure that there are right supplies to it. I think my question to Charlie, since we are talking about innovation, and we have seen that, given that UAE's tech ecosystem and the strategic location, there's a lot of companies that have invested towards development of innovative games, right? So, for example, the Dubai-based Farkana Gaming Studio, which has developed a blockchain system. So, we really want to understand that, since these are one of the first-class AAA games, can you share some of the trends that are catching up and gaining momentum in this industry? And what we could learn with the new kind of technologies being taken up in this space.
Sure. So I'll start with the most trending sectors in terms of gaming in UAE. So mobile gaming is something which is very trending. A lot of game developers have come to UAE, and they are working on new and innovative games. And one of the reasons there is a upstream of such need in UAE is because of accessibility to mobile. So almost everyone has a mobile and high-speed internet connectivity. So these are the factors why mobile gaming is number one in trend. And then there is esports as well. And there is a sudden trend of gamification in UAE now. Many corporates are now adopting to this gamification trend, especially companies from healthcare, construction. What they do is to attract customers, to build their brand for advertising, for brand building exercise. They use gamification, and that has been another trending sector in the gaming department. So in the last 5 years, we are seeing a lot of gaming companies. We have Rio Games, we have Neosoft, all these top companies who are migrating to UAE. In terms of me representing DMCC, we have an exclusive gaming center which was launched last year during the Dubai Esports Festival. What it can offer is not only co-working facilities, but also introductions to key investors, accelerators, for you to grow your business.
No, thank you so much. My question to Vidya in this, we have seen a lot of policy initiatives from Australian government, especially to promote startups, and develop their in-house games. So, for example, the game tax offset, which is one of the most popular, spoken about, policies of, and we do have some parallels of it in India as well, wherein, states have come out with the policies like that. But we really want to understand from you that, what made that so popular, and, what were the outcomes and learnings that, India can have from that?
I only wish the Joint Secretary was here to hear these statements, but before I go into the digital games tax offset, which you had just touched upon, one of the things that Australia IP, what we're talking about, is 87% of the IP is done within Australia. So we are trying to retain that as a market leader, and that's very important. So to support the big companies like, we've recently had Sledgehammer Games, or the Riot Games, or the Keyword Studios, all these big studios are there. For them to support them in the thing, the digital games tax offset was introduced last year, and in the parliament, which is a 30% tax rebate or tax offset that they get for a $500,000 expenditure that is qualified. And that is just being passed by the Senate just a couple of months ago. So this was only to, as you mentioned, to retain the IPs within the country. Now, this is one thing that has given the entire industry a push, with whatever we have been going through right now in the cycle. But to complement and in conjunction with that, the states have also put in that extra effort, because this tax offset is coming from the federal government. So the states have also put in their own funding to support the tax offset. So you can get a tax offset, At the same time, you can get a funding from the government to continue that. And because we have said $500,000 is, a minimum expenditure, qualified expenditure to avail this, we can't leave out the other segments of the gaming ecosystem. So then you have something as the Originate Fund. This is for startups who can actually, gain this fund to create IP. And then you have the Expansion Fund, which is for the next second level about the scale up. And then you have the other one, incentives, which we are providing for international games. So international productions who want to come over, use our studio, so they get a 10% tax rebate. So all of this, that's why I was just wondering, the Joint Secretary should have been here to hear. It's so interesting to see that the amount of funding and the amount of support that each of the state governments as well as the federal government are putting through this, that the ecosystem is so robust in terms of, the entry, exit, and the support system. Indeed, Rajan is not here, but one of Rajan's associate who was there with me last year at the Melbourne International Games Week from Jetapult did mention that I think the government is going above and beyond in terms of pushing this. It could actually be an impediment to the growth in future.
Wonderful. I have an announcement to make. The IDGS AGM is starting at Allure 1 Hall. IDGS members sitting here may join there. I think, this has been really a wonderful session, with the esteemed panelists and, lot of inputs and thoughts that we have to carry away, both from a policy making perspective and from an industry enablement perspective. There will be a lot of questions that I do expect some of our audience will have from these esteemed panelists. I leave the house open in case there are any questions that anybody would like to ask, because this is a good opportunity to really look at any possible collaborations as well.
Hi, my name is Kirat. I'm with the Metaverse Street Journal, one of the media partners. My question is in terms of, a few decades ago, Indians in general, as a culture, we didn't support artists. So to say, if somebody wanted to be a camera person or somebody wanted to be a photographer or a event designer, these are all new careers that have come in. So similarly, gaming is a very new career that is coming in. So how can we as a society support upcoming gamers or people who want to develop games and use these paths to make their careers? I think this is for Chitra ma'am, but if anybody else has anything else to add as well, they can.
I think your question makes a lot of sense. From the government's perspective, at least, the idea is to, develop the gaming segment as an opportunity for people who are, or students who are not inclined towards, science but that is also a little bit controversial to say because it is a very technical field, I understand, but provide more opportunities for artists and animators and so on. As a society, I do understand that there is a perception issue attached with the entire gaming sector. So I think if we can get over that perception, once the the policies come into place which introduce gaming as education in schools, I think the perception will gradually change with parents also. But let's see how it. That's the idea. The government is working towards it. But hope everything improves with future for gamers.
Thank you so much.
Okay, it's on. Hi, over here. My name is Vikram. My question is primarily for Sean, but really it's for the whole panel if you guys are open. So you guys have talked a lot about investment in India and the industry in general. Something you guys have not talked about on your investments is what kind of returns you're looking for. Financial, skill-based, what timelines you're looking at. The reason I'm primarily asking Sean is because you've been very open about the fact that KRAFTON is invested heavily here, but you've not been particularly open about what timelines you're looking at for returns on those investments and in what categories. Most famously, KRAFTON does not really share metrics about BGMI or many of their other games, how they're doing in India. So I'd be curious to know, or if what kind of returns you are looking for, why, and what kind of growth you're seeing in how many ever years you're looking for?
Yeah, I mean, there are many sort of dimensions from the question, Vikram. First question that I can sort of frame, the question was like, what is our expectation in terms of ROI through our investment? So being a strategic investor, it's a little difficult to kind of quantify the ROIs that we are looking at. There could be some qualitative outcomes that we are expecting from our investments. But I think there are certain ROIs which you would expect from early stage startup investments. I think that could be a sort of ballpark number that we can think about. But then again, gaming investments, like I'm a little biased because I'm a gaming company person, but gaming investments, I feel it's little more difficult than early stage startup investments are definitely very difficult, like business to be in. But gaming investments, I would say it's a little more difficult to predict for the success of the game. So we have internally, we are saying that if you keep saying that this game will not succeed, then like 80-90% then you will be right. That's the nature of the business. So that's one way of answering to your question. But I think so it's related to your kind of second part of the question, like what is KRAFTON's revenue numbers or metrics in India market? As a listed company, like many other listed gaming companies, I believe we don't share country-specific numbers. That's the kind of policy that has been taken by many gaming companies, but also other platform companies, because it can open up competition and blah blah blah. So, but anyway, so I think I can say that India market is pretty sizable for top games like BGMI, and then it's a heavily skewed to top players compared to other gaming markets. Other gaming markets has a little bit fatter, long tail. But India market, I believe, there are many games who are making revenue, but if you want to make, let's say, 5 million, 10 million ARR, even higher than that, then it's a very heavily skewed to top few players in each genre.
So winner takes all, basically, like almost winner takes all in that category, really.
Yeah, not all, but yeah, but maturely, yes. But that is actually any trend that we are seeing from any emerging gaming market. Given like 10, 20 years history of new emerging gaming market like Southeast Asia, China, maybe Korea. But after industry evolves, people's appetite is also become diversified, and there are more diversified offerings from local developers and global developers. So I'm very optimistic. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So, I think we're towards the closure of this session. Thank you so much for being so patient listener, and thank you so much to all my panelists to be as open as they could be in terms of, asking. I did ask some of the thought-provoking questions. Thank you for your patience on that. Thank you so much.